Welcome back to Good Morning Europe. This week we've been taking a deep dive into 5G. Chinese technology giant Huawei has been at the centre of the 5G debate, attracting warnings and critics from around the globe. But Huawei's CEO and other top executives have been speaking out to give their defence to Euronews. Ryan Thompson has the story.
It's an industry leader, pioneering next-generation data infrastructure that promises to change our lives. But governments in the West are wary of Huawei and its perceived links to the Chinese state. Many aren't sure whether it can be trusted to build new 5G networks.
It's much simpler not to do any business with Huawei, so we're not doing business with Huawei.
The U.S. has banned Huawei from bringing their technology to American cities. Australia and Japan have followed the U.S. lead, as many others, including the UK, Denmark and Poland, consider similar moves. But Huawei has defended its technology in interviews with Euronews.
You're saying that Huawei has never spied, never will spy, never has been asked to spy?
Yes, definitely. If we were involved in any security issues, the US would have used them as evidence in the EU. We haven't done anything, nor would we need to. History has shown that we haven't done anything.
Euronews visited Huawei's campus in Shenzhen, where 5G technology for the masses is under development. Company executives showcase robots, transmitters, and other gadgets in a showroom dedicated to 5G. They insist their technology is free of surveillance functions and say it's the network providers that Western governments should be skeptical of.
Of course, we are not operating the network, which means we don't own any data. We provide the technologies, we provide the product solutions to our customer. So the operator, they own the data. They need to do what they comply with the law.
Brussels has warned against 5G suppliers from hostile countries, but stopped short of naming Huawei in an October report. Huawei has hired a number of former EU cybersecurity staffers to advocate for expansion into the bloc.
I think that they are worrying a bit too much. And the reason is that they are mixing a lot of things, so that in the beginning, countries are not going to make this kind of standalone 5G, which is meaning that they would be ripping everything off.
For the time being, Huawei's CEO says they're unaffected by allegations.
The lobbying of so many politicians around the world has had a positive impact. Seeing such a powerful country attack Huawei, customers in many countries take that as a sign of Huawei's strength. There won't be any financial risks. Our growth won't be that bad. Some customers choose not to buy from Huawei. That's understandable. But there are also many customers who continue to buy.
The company has overtaken Samsung as the world's leading smartphone manufacturer and is poised to continue posting more than 50% annual growth. Ryan Thompson, Euronews.
Well, joining me to discuss Huawei and some of what we've just heard is Matthew Newman, Chief Technology Correspondent at MLEX, a Brussels trade publication that covers regulation. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning. We've just heard the defence, really, and denials as well from Huawei's Chief Executive. Do you buy what he's had to say?
I've heard these explanations many times here in Brussels. We regularly hear from Huawei. Just yesterday they had a meeting where they said that they should be judged on their technical merits and not on politics. So it really is up to the EU to weigh the security guarantees that Huawei have made. And the UK and Germany are the two big countries that are considering what to do next. We'll hear from the UK later on this month.
What do you anticipate they're going to do? Because Huawei say it's going to take global cooperation to bring 5G to the masses. So if Europe did decide, OK, we don't want to work with Huawei, what options are available to them?
Well, right here in Europe, we have Ericsson and Nokia. So those are two top telecom companies, homegrown, and that's exactly what the U.S. would like Europe to be using. The trouble with having only two suppliers is the cost. So the European telecom operators I've spoken to would like to have more choice. Huawei offers what they consider as good, solid equipment at a reasonable price. It's already been used and deployed for 4G. And so the next step into 5G would be logical for many of these operators. And the problem for Europe is that shutting out one of the top producers of this equipment, could potentially lead to much higher costs for 5G, and that could hurt the bloc in the long run.
Talking about hurting the bloc and politics, it's almost impossible to remove politics out of this tech conversation. So what do you think the EU's most likely strategy will be?
Well, as in your report said, there was an initial assessment in October, and later on this month we're going to have a EU cybersecurity toolbox, which basically means that these will be mitigation measures that governments can take for cybersecurity problems. They won't name specific companies. That's very important. It will still be up to the individual governments to make this choice. Germany has a pending bill that also doesn't name any companies, but would make effectively a ban on Huawei. And the UK is considering kind of a split decision where Huawei would be able to be used in certain parts of the network, what they call the non-core antenna of the network, 5G network. So that might be one solution to get out of this political problem.
Matthew Newman, technology correspondent, thank you very much for speaking to us.
It's my pleasure.